Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce Business Breakfast Series. My name is Kimberly Nadeau-Linloff. I'm the President and CEO of the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here today. Before we begin our program this morning, I want to take a moment to thank our 2025 Business Breakfast Series sponsors. They include AT&T, Cross Insurance, New Dimensions Federal Credit Union, Nicholson, Michoud, and Nadeau CPAs, no relation, O'Donnell Lee Martin, DuBoard, Attorneys at Law, and Sheridan Construction. The Morning Sentinel and Turner Publications are our print media sponsors. 107.9 The Mix is our radio sponsor, and Kennebec Savings Bank is our video sponsor. I'd like to take a moment to welcome our newest chamber members. They include Good Faith Insurance, Creative Hair Solutions, Franyo Pavic, Kirian Inc., Maine Pine Catering, Fairfield Homes, and Belgrade Lakes Association. And again, I want to thank today's entrepreneurial spotlighter, Tracy Smith of Smith's Maine Nutriment of Cornville and Farm Drop. Tracy provided this morning's tasty samples. This is a program, the Entrepreneurial Spotlighter is a program of Central Maine Growth Council, and it's sponsored by Thomas College's Harold Alfond Institute for Business Innovation. A reminder to turn off your cell phones in consideration of our guests, and please don't forget to complete the evaluation forms that are on your table. You can either leave them on your table after you complete them or drop them at the registration table on your way out. As always, the Chamber has upcoming events. We invite you to attend any and all of them. The Morning Sentinel has closed the voting on its Reader's Choice Awards, and the celebration is going to feature a lot of Chamber members. We know who they are, but we can't tell you. An awards ceremony is being held on Thursday, May 8th at the Waterville Elks Banquet Center from 5 to 7. Tickets are available at centralmaine.com/awards night. Our April business after hours, our May business after hours will be held on Wednesday, May 14th with Educare Central Maine and KB Cap, which is located over here at 56 Drummond Avenue, next to the Mitchell School. At 5:30 to 7, good food, good drinks, networking, 50-50 drawings, and lots of door prizes. We have 2 ribbon cuttings coming in May. The first will be held at Dixon's Country Market in Benton on May 22nd at 3:30. And then we have one on May 28th at Barely Used Boutique at 295 Kennedy Memorial Drive. And we hope you'll join us there to celebrate these businesses that have been upgraded. Save the date, our business-to-business showcase will be held on Wednesday, May 21st at Tommy College Fieldhouse from noon to 6. Maine State Credit Union is sponsoring a $1,000 cash prize drawing. Each booth participant gets a coupon as part of their registration, but you can buy chances for that as well. This year we're featuring a food truck throughout the show that'll be right there at Thomas, and there'll be a cash bar throughout as well. It's a great networking opportunity. That's why most of you are here today, to learn how to do it right. We'll have about 100 businesses there. If you don't have a booth registered yet and want to, talk to Cindy. Also, the registration materials are available on our website. And it's time to practice your swing. The Mid-Maine Chamber Golf Classic will be held on Tuesday, June 10th at Natana's Golf Course in Vassalboro. We are nearly sold out, so if you want to get in, you need to let Cindy know ASAP. Today's presentation is titled How to Make the Most Out of Attending a Trade Show Before, During, and After. Nancy Marshall, CEO of Marshall Communications, will present an interactive workshop on this topic. At the end, there'll be time for Q&A following the presentation. This event is live streamed, and a link can be found following the event. We will also be rebroadcasting it on local cable through Crossroads TV. So with that, I would like to introduce Joy McKenna, Director of Marketing and Communications for Maine General Health, who will introduce Nancy. Joy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Big group here today. You're in for a treat because I've known Nancy for quite a while and she's amazing. Nancy Marshall, the PR maven, founder and CEO of Marshall Communications, is an extrovert from birth. I do not doubt that. Nancy has always enjoyed connecting with people and learning their stories. In 1991, she founded her own PR agency and has used her worldwide network of friends and contacts to grow her business. Today, over 30 years later, with her strong entrepreneurial spirit, Marshall Communications has represented many major clients, including the Maine Office of Tourism, the Maine Office of Business Development, the Orvis Company, among others. With an undergraduate degree from Colby College and an MBA from Thomas College, she's covered all the bases, she has spent plenty of time in the Mid-Maine area. Her son Craig also graduated from Colby in 2015. Nancy's hallmark is her commitment to living her client's business. When she was representing Northern Outdoors Adventure Resort, she became a licensed whitewater rafting guide. This has been really fun. For the Maine Windjammer Association, she lived the life of a crew member on the Victory Chimes. For Orvis, she learned how to fly fish and tie flies. Did you catch that, Mike? Okay. She's also well known for her infectious laugh and insatiable love of learning about everyone she meets. Making connections between people for their mutual benefit is a favorite pastime, as is connecting with new and long-lasting friends on social media. In 2018, she launched the PR Maven podcast, and she is also the author of 2 books, PR Works and Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Brand. She emphasizes balancing in-person networking with the power of technology to extend your network using the World Wide Web. Most of all, Nancy stands out because of her smile and her hearty laugh, which exemplifies her passion for what she does and for life itself. Please join me in a warm welcome of Nancy Marshall.
Should we turn that over? Yep. Thank you, Joy. It's such a nice opportunity to be here today with all of you in Waterville. And as Joy said, I've spent a lot of time, according to my father, I had my nose in a book the whole time when I was at Colby. But I was actually at the fraternity parties learning learning how to socialize, which actually in the long run I used that more in my career than reading a book at the Miller Library. But yes, while I was working at Sugarloaf in the 90s, I drove down to Waterville one night a week to take courses at Thomas College. I didn't know we called it Tommy College, so that's a new one for me. So yeah, I worked at Sugarloaf for many years, and then after having started my business, I've worked with a lot of clients that did trade shows, and I've seen it all as far as how to do it and how not to do it. So today I want to talk about how to do it. Trade shows are such a great opportunity, and for somebody like me who's a networker, I just love the opportunity to talk to all the different people. You have opportunities to talk to customers, clients, prospects, and competitors too. You have a really good opportunity to walk the aisles at the trade show and see what your competition is doing. And you also have the opportunity to talk to vendors, and oftentimes there are media people or journalists and social media people. So I am kind of like a kid at a candy shop at a trade show, and you want to be sure that the people who are representing your organization are also excited about meeting people. And we're going to talk about that, how sometimes the people who are at trade shows might not be the right people because they don't like to interact face to face. And not everybody does, and that's okay. But the people who go to a trade show on your behalf should be people who really enjoy meeting people. When you decide to go to a trade show, you want to define what success means. It's really expensive to go to a trade show, not only for the fee you pay for a booth, but for the booth itself and for all the swag you give out and the time, the personnel who are there on your behalf. And I'm seeing Lynn agreeing with me. It is expensive. So you need to figure out, what is your goal? Are you trying to make sales? Are you trying to generate leads? Are you trying to build brand awareness? Are you trying to get emails for your email list? Basically, every contact you make is helping to build the brand of your organization. And what I like to talk about also, it builds the personal brand of the person who is there. And personal branding involves building a network of contacts. So basically, everybody who is representing you needs to be clear on what the goals are. You also want to plan early and plan well on where your booth is placed and what's included. Do you need power? Make sure that you have access to power outlets if you do. If you're traveling, you need to have a hotel. You need to figure out how people are going to get there. And again, make sure that all the logistics are coordinated. I recommend having a nice spreadsheet and a person sort of like Cindy, who is very good at organizing, who can create a master spreadsheet of all of the moving parts and the deadlines and the costs and all of the things. Cindy, I just picture you as being the most organized person I know. So you want to have somebody who's really organized, who's like coordinating all of the logistics, okay? And there's not only personnel, again, but there's also budget. You need to figure out how much you're willing to spend, not only on the booth costs, but again, on travel, on the giveaways, and maybe you're going to have a hospitality suite after hours, and all of these things cost money. And again, all of them should ultimately deliver a return on investment, and that goes back to knowing what your goals are. What are you trying to accomplish by going to this show? It's really nice to have an eye-catching booth. And this, in today's day and age, there's all kinds of booths. There's booths that are all illuminated. There's booths that have artificial intelligence incorporated in them. There's booths that are an island in the middle of a room or a corner booth. So think about what kind of a booth you want to have. Again, I will always say it's more important to have good people than a really expensive booth. If I were the CEO of the company at this trade show, I would be more likely to spend money on training the people, choosing the right people, and having people than a really fancy booth. But if you can have both, that's even better. But again, it all comes down to your budget and how much you can spend. Great lighting is important, and you don't want to have a lot of clutter on your table or your display. You want it to be an appealing place that people want to spend time on. And I can't emphasize this enough. Again, you want to have really good people who are friendly, who like to engage. I've always been an extrovert since I was born. I can remember when I was little going to the grocery store with my mother, and she'd have me in the cart, and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Nancy. What's your name? Can I go home with you? I want to see where you live." And my mother would be, "Nancy, please, you can't say that to strangers." And I'd be like, "Oh, but I want them to be my friends." So you want somebody who just wants to talk to all the people, and that's really important. So when you're considering the people, you want to have people who engage and also stay off their phones. Haven't you been at a trade show where there's people sitting behind their booth and they're just on their phone? That makes me crazy. I was actually in Cancun last week for a business meeting. And I was at this resort where they were trying to sell different spa services, and they were trying to sell upgrades, timeshares and stuff. And they had all these kiosks around the resort. And I was just shocked at how many of the people sitting at these little displays were staring at their phones or talking to each other. And I'm thinking of whoever is paying the bills for these people, paying their salaries. What a waste of money that is. You'd be better off just not even having those displays there, because the reason to have the displays with personnel is for engagement. So you want to staff your booth with the best, and you also want to provide training for them, so they're trained on what they should say and how they should draw people out. You also don't want to have people that are like doing a really hard sell. Like say you're trying to sell memberships. We've got somebody from Sam's in the back who does that. And I'm sure she doesn't like go in for the hard sell when she first meets somebody. Again, when I was leaving Cancun on Monday, they had these skincare people. I don't know if you've ever seen the skincare people that like try to get you to, they put some cream on your face and then they hold up a mirror and say, oh, isn't it amazing? You look 10 years younger on the right side of your face. And then they try to sell you this expensive like heat gun. And I confess I did buy some of it. But it's because they were like pressuring me. I felt this horrible, I just wanted to get out of there. And I'm like, here, just let me. But yeah, that hard sell is like, my heart was pounding. It's like, oh, please stop. It just, so you don't want to be like that either. To attract visitors, you want to have nice branded giveaways that, for example, this is a pen that has my agency's name on it. So everything from pens to, sometimes they give Yeti mugs or Stanley cups or, fancy things. Again, it all goes back to budget and goals. It's good to have a QR code to capture leads because, again, the goal of going to a trade show is to get contact information, ideally names and email addresses, and then you can follow up. Because in marketing, an email list is one of the most valuable assets that a company or organization can have. Because when people give you their email address, it's kind of an invitation to contact them and communicate in their inbox, which is a very precious space. Okay, so if you connect with people on social media like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, that's fine, that's good, I believe in that. But Facebook and Instagram are owned by Meta, so you don't own that. Whereas an email address you own, and it's really valuable. So how many of you in your organizations have an email list of customers and prospects? Oh, good, I'm seeing a lot of hands, that's good. And I hope you try to keep that updated and try to communicate with those people on a regular basis so that your current, that list is current, and so that the people are interested. You got to send them stuff that is of interest to them. And as I've been saying, you want to engage, not just sell. You want to be engaging, and that means like having eye contact and making conversation and smiling. A smile is something that is worldwide. It attracts people. I always say that from the time we're born as infants, and our mother looks at us and admires our beautiful little face, you have this feeling of oxytocin and serotonin and all the happy hormones. And if somebody looks at you and acknowledges you as an individual, you get that same feeling that you had as an infant. And that acknowledges somebody that they're valid and they're a valuable contact for you. So you want to give people the feeling that you value the relationship with them. And I have to say that's one of the things I learned from my own mother. She was known as Oma, and she was a preschool teacher. And little children loved Oma because she loved them and they knew it. It was because she acknowledged each of those little children that she taught as individuals, and she loved each of them. And so my mother taught me that you have to acknowledge people as individuals and honor them and remember their name in an ideal world. So remembering names and some details about a person is important as well. Follow-up is really important. You want to follow up, again, through email, and I am a big fan of handwritten notes in the mail. How many of you write handwritten notes in the mail? Yes, I love to see those hands up. You know what? Handwritten notes in the mail are kind of a lost art, but they really mean something. They mean a lot more than a text or an email. It means that you actually took the time to sit down, write something out by hand, put a stamp on an envelope, and put that envelope in the mail. So I think it's much more important than even direct mail, but even if you do direct mail, like a form letter, the CEO or someone should take the time to put a little handwritten note on it, because that makes it more personal. You want to post on social media while you're at the show. If you can, make a little video and post it on your Instagram Reels or Stories or even TikTok. That's a good idea. You also want to be sure that you're looking at what the competitors are doing, and maybe walk around or send a spy, somebody who might not be recognizable, with a little notebook, and have them make some notes and maybe even take some pictures of what the competition is doing. It's a really great opportunity to find out what your competition is up to. And then attend the networking events. Don't just leave at the end of the day and go back to your room and watch Netflix and eat chips and drink beer. You want to actually attend the hospitality suites or take someone out to dinner. Again, this is a really great opportunity to be face-to-face with very important people, and you want to make the most of that time. Common mistakes to avoid are poor preparation and ignoring visitors. I was at the MERIDA conference, the Real Estate Developers Conference in Portland a few weeks ago, and I was just shocked by how many people who were standing at their trade show booths and talking to each other. And I was walking around, and people were not even acknowledged, and I'm like smiling and trying to get their attention, and they're like ignoring me. I'm like, what the heck? You are spending a lot of time and money to be here, right, Sean? And you got to make the most of it. So don't ignore visitors, and don't be cluttered, and be sure you follow up. So there is a checklist that I provided on your table. You want to think about all these details. Again, have an organized person keeping a spreadsheet of all the details. And then, again, my priority would be on choosing the staff and having enough staff people, not just sending one person. If you're going to commit to doing a trade show, it's better to provide more people, so you have somebody that can be doing social media posts, somebody that can be eyeing the competition, and somebody, maybe one or two people at the booth, and also rotate. Because if you're really doing this right, it is tiring. So you don't want to have the same person standing there from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. That would be too much for one person, even if it's like the Energizer Bunny. So you want to set yourself apart. You want to be memorable. Maybe you want to have a cornhole game or a putting green at your booth, so you have something to engage people. That would be a really good idea, because people love to play games. And then you could have a prize if somebody gets their ball in the hole, or they get their cornhole sack in the hole, or whatever. But it's a good idea to have something fun and exciting. Speaking of fun, exciting, we're going to do a little experiment here. We're going to do a little demonstration. So I'm going to call Ashley from Sam's Club. She's going to bring her phone in her chair, and she's going to sit right here. And then Mike Greeno and Joy McKenna, they're going to stand here, and they're going to talk to each other. And then Sean, he's going to stand over there by Kim. Now, I'm going to prep them a little bit. While I'm doing that, I would like you to turn to the person next to you, and if you're not connected with them on LinkedIn, I'd like you to connect with at least one person on LinkedIn. And then we're going to be back in just a minute, okay? I'm going to just, so you've got your phone, so I'm going to be walking by. And then the two of you are going to be just talking to each other. Okay, did everybody connect with at least one new person on LinkedIn? I hope you did. Okay, so now we're at the trade show for the farmers markets, and I'm a buyer for farmers markets, and we've got all these farmers here. So here I am walking by. I wonder what she's selling, but I don't know because she's on her phone. Oh, and they're ignoring me. Can you imagine? They're just ignoring me.
Well, good morning.
Oh.
Welcome to the farmer's market.
Hi!
Orange is a great color on you.
Thank you.
What brings you here today?
Oh, I came to buy some fertilizer.
Oh my God, that's incredible. You know what? We specialize in that. So, you stopped at the exact right spot today.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure you have great fertilizer.
We do. We are full of it.
Wow. You're really good at your job.
Well,
Woo! I'm hot now. Okay, well, I want to thank our volunteers, and you can see we had what not to do at the first two, and then the superstar fertilizer salesman. Whew. So now I want to take a moment, and I want to have some people volunteer their experiences, both good and bad. Does anybody have a story to tell about a success they had as a result of a trade show, or something that they saw or did that they regret or was a bad example? Oh, Joy, yes.
I think I need the mic.
Yes.
I saw that you. Does it work? Yeah. I saw that you had on there, but didn't verbalize, but I wanted to point out another great tip is when people still have business cards, when you get one of those, when they leave, I always write on the back a note of either what we talked about, or if I said I was going to get back to them. And then the follow through is the key piece for that too. But
You're having a fishbowl, and I'm glad you brought that up, Joy, but getting their contact information now, and also not everybody carries business cards anymore. So you want to have some blanks or some forms that people could write their contact information in. Because, again, one of the most important things you can do at a show is get that contact information, at least names and email addresses. If people give you their cell phones, that's even better. Does anybody else have an experience? How about our Sam's Club representative who does this as a job? Like, what do you do to engage?
So that was definitely what Joy said. Somebody mentioned that a couple years back. So since that, I've always been doing that, like writing the little notes of like, hey, we talked about this. Another one, I try to get out to as many that fits my kind of area as possible because I like meeting new people all the time. So anytime I can get out, so I try to get out to as many and then just make as many connections. So.
And how do you follow up?
Only me that does it at like in my Sam's Club, the Augusta. Each one has like an Ashley. So I would be that one like 9 to 5, but I'm the little Energizer bunny. So I'm going.
Were you the one in the grocery cart with your mom introducing yourself to you?
She's also got like 4 or 5 kids. No, she's got
Oh.
a basketball team there too.
Oh, wow. Oh, God bless you. Wow, I'm impressed. How about some, oh, yes.
I always like to be in front of the booth because the booth almost has like a barrier to talking to people. So if I'm in front, then they have to walk up to me and I'm right beside them and chatting with them.
That's a really good suggestion. I'm so glad you, and what's your name?
I'm Josh
From?
from Maine General.
All right, thanks, Josh. That's a great suggestion. And another thing is you might not even want to have chairs behind the booth. You don't really want to encourage your people to sit down if they're staffing the booth. If they want to take a break, they should go someplace else and sit down. And again, if they have their phone, it should only be to take photos and video, but not to be checking their email. If they need to check their email or their texts, they should leave the booth. Because while they're at the booth, They're kind of on stage and they need to be engaging. How about somebody else? Yes, Sabrina.
Yes, so one of the trade shows that I attended, we were rolling out some really tricky company descriptions. And so what our team did is we gathered together before the show, because we had a fairly large trade show booth group of people, and we had to do a pitch competition so that we were all clear on what that key messaging would be. So, and you get to practice it amongst each other and then, you know, improve it on the fly before you're on the trade show floor.
I'm glad you brought that up, Sabrina, because I encourage people to create what I call a message map. If you've worked with me, you know that a message map has a key message in the center, which is kind of like a 21-word or 7-second soundbite about what you're all about. And then around that key message would be supporting messages, other talking points that feed back into your key message. And if you do some training with your trade show personnel, you should kind of train them with that message map so they have the key messages down by heart. And another thing, they should be prepared if somebody walks up from the newspaper or from WABI TV or the Wall Street Journal, you never know. You want to have the trade show people either prepared to give a comment or to know to defer to whoever the spokesperson is. If they're not comfortable or not authorized to give a quote to the media on behalf of the organization, they should defer to someone else. And so, you know, at some shows, you might even need to do some media training for your people, because you don't want to be misquoted in a big publication or on TV or radio. Somebody else. Yes, what's your name?
My name is Brad Dean. I am the co-chair of the Maine Hire Vet Campaign.
All right. Hi, Brad.
A lot of these events. I've seen about every scenario you've described here, to the phones, to the people who are actually aggressive with people walking by. One of the things I do is if that person is on their phone like this, I go up and address them, try to get them engaged.
You taunt them.
I'm an old Navy chief, so I just
In your face. Yeah, good. And then do they like act kind of mousy and apologize, or what do they do then?
Not very often. I mean, they sometimes they put your phone down enough to talk to you, and other times they do actually engage with you. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to send that message, though.
That's good. That's good. I have the same temptation as well, to be honest. Anybody else? How about some of our, oh yes, Cindy.
Well, you know I'm an extrovert.
Yes.
I always told when I was at the newspaper and I had my sales staff come, what I always reminded them is there's attendees that come into the event, which is great, and you're at your booth talking to them. But I said, don't just park at the booth. There's like at our B2B right now, we have 100 booths there. Go out and talk to the other people who came with a booth, because that's all building. I mean, I have an awesome network, but it's because I always talked to everybody. I still do. And I see so many people just, they come in for the day and they park at the booth and they might go to the bathroom or whatever, but they don't go around and talk to all those other people who have a lot of great experiences to share with them. To me, they are your core. There's at least 100 people right there that you can go talk to.
Exactly. And again, it's such a golden opportunity to have all of these people in one space. Because you might say, oh, I can talk to them at another time, but they might be clear across the country in California or in another country or who knows. But to have everybody in the same space. And I always talk about what I call the happy hormones, which are oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. And when you're talking to a person face to face, those hormones transmit and you feel differently. It's much different than Zoom, because those hormones can't really transmit through a Zoom call. So take advantage of being in the same space with other people where those happy hormones can transmit. And Sean, we won't bring that back to the fertilizer, but yes, what's your name?
My name's
Hi, Caitlin.
I currently work for DOL, formerly of the Chamber, and I'm going to speak of my Chamber experience because that's where I got the most of my networking stuff. But I think believing in your product and having people who believe in your product or your service is important as well. Obviously, there's salespeople who could sell fish, sell water to a fish. But for me, and even I don't work for the Chamber now, but I'm still constantly going into businesses and talking to people and saying how awesome their business is and asking them if they're a member or seeing their sticker, and it's just kind of ingrained in me now because I believe in what the Chamber does and how good they are for businesses. So even though I'm still not there, I'm still out promoting them and networking and bringing people in. So I think the power of believing in what you're selling is very important as well at a trade show or just in general.
I agree totally. To be enthusiastic is really important. And yeah, to believe in your product. Yeah.
Hi, Karen from Maine Career Exploration.
Nice to see you, Karen.
I work with Nancy's group. I think that hitting home, that paying attention to people who are coming near you, because when I go around, I have something to offer your business, and it might be a really great collaborative opportunity that involves maybe helping your business with some financial stuff. So.
Yeah, actually, let's take this brief opportunity, Karen. Why don't you give a description of what Maine Career Exploration offers?
I am the program manager at Department of Economic Development. I oversee the Maine Career Explorations program, and I offer businesses and youth ages 16 to 24 75 hours. I will pay for it to come into your business and have a career experience, and I will cover the liability insurance as well. Take care of all the payroll stuff. You just have to be willing to be a mentor for 75 hours.
What a golden opportunity that is.
Yeah.
They say there's nothing that's free, but that is.
And, we're finding that 50% of our youth are offered a job, after, and we're keeping youth in Maine with this program. So that's the goal, and we're here to promote business too and help you along.
Yeah, that's great. And Maine Career Exploration is using a variety of means to market and promote itself, including social media and public relations.
And Nancy Marshall.
Just saying. Anna McDermott on my team is the primary account person, and she and Karen are working together. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah.
Hi, Seth Reed with Thomas College. I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations, but I'm going to refer to my time in admissions. So when I was in admissions, a lot of the customers, I guess, would be prospective college students, high school students, looking to go into higher education. A lot of them having never gone to a college fair before or some sort of career fair, so they were super nervous. I am a high-functioning golden retriever, so I love talking to anybody.
I've never heard that expression. That's awesome.
Yeah, feel free to write that down.
Yeah.
Tip me $20, whatever you want. But yeah, so just kind of being there for them as well. You might be nervous because you may have never done one of these before, or in the same world, they may be nervous. They've never been in a large setting like that before. They're high school students, in the same professional landscape. You may be young professional and you've never done a trade show before, so just going out and being welcoming and open to anything, really. Saying hi to people, checking in with folks, walking around. It was super helpful in my time in higher education and enrollment.
So that's an example that actually if you're bringing attendees to a trade show, it might not be a bad idea to give them some coaching on how they can make the most. Because actually, yes, some young people, they really don't want to have to talk face-to-face to anybody. Yeah, because a lot of the young people now, they lived through COVID and they were shut away at home and they didn't.
Be on their phones, probably.
Yeah, right. They didn't talk to anybody. Well, this has been really great to have all the interactivity. Does anybody have any other suggestions? If you were the person like Sean who's trying to say something on what you can say to start up a conversation other than, how are you today? It's okay, but sometimes that's a little inauthentic and people can just say fine and then they can keep walking along. Do you have any ideas on other things you can say other than complimenting somebody on their outfit? Yeah.
I also work in college admissions and introverts can do this job.
Yes.
Just want to say.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I find with students, know your audience and sense of humor. And so usually as the kids are drifting by, it's sort of like an aquarium, the same fish keep going around.
Yeah.
Usually humor works really well. And so my typical thing that I'll say to a student, if I can catch them for a millisecond, is, so what kind of trouble are you looking to get into after high school?
Oh,
And
that's
they kind
good.
of freeze, and I'll go, come on, you need to have a plan, felony or misdemeanor.
Oh.
And once they laugh, then you, and then they'll stop and they'll talk to you.
Oh, that's good.
So a sense of humor helps.
Yeah, that's very good. I like that. And where do you work? Which college?
Kennebec Valley Community.
Oh, all right. Awesome. That's a really good suggestion. Oh, just 1 minute. I want to say introverts actually can be really good at this job. You don't necessarily need an over-the-top golden retriever because introverts are sometimes best at listening. I have a woman, actually, she's a graduate of Thomas, and Thomas College sent her to me as an intern. Her name is Emma Dimmick. She's from Madison, Maine. She's now Emma Quinlan because she got married, but she's really shy. But she's very smart. She graduated with her bachelor's degree from Thomas in 3 years, and she was valedictorian, and she was a marketing PR major. And she is very shy, but she is a very good listener, and she remembers everything you tell her. So that makes her a great employee, because if I tell her to do something, she remembers the minute details. So, and she actually enjoys going out and meeting people. She might not be the one to initiate a conversation, but she's a very good listener, and so introverts can be good at it too. Yes?
I was just going to say, to start a conversation is to ask if they're a current client, customer member, and
Yeah.
then be prepared if the answer's no.
Yeah.
To throw another question or another comment in there, but if they say they are, well, that's great, we'd love to hear that, can you give us some feedback, or just to get them talking.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good idea. And where are you from?
KB Federal Credit Union.
Oh, all right. So you have members.
Members,
Yeah,
yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Kim?
So I have a question about the follow-up.
Yes.
You get your bowl of business cards,
Yes.
and you've written notes on the back like Joy suggested.
Yeah.
And then you get back to the office the next day, you're unpacked, you're sitting at your desk, and you're ready to go. Do you have a customer service platform that you prefer, or is an Excel spreadsheet just as good, or do you not even waste the time? You just go pile them in a stack and go one by, like, what now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thanks, Kim. So it depends on whether you're looking for hundreds or even thousands of new customers, or if you're just looking for one or two. If you're just looking for one or two, I would just take those business cards and I would write each of them a handwritten letter, or I would actually email them and ask to have a follow-up meeting. But if you're looking for a lot, HubSpot is a customer relationship management platform that I've used and I would recommend. And HubSpot does have a free version where you can keep, we use it for media lists, but you want to use it for all the people. You would enter all of those names and their contact information into the HubSpot platform, and then you would have a sales funnel. So that would be a series of emails that you would send, and you would try to, the funnel is you pour a lot of names in up at the top, and then out of the bottom come the most highly qualified leads and candidates that will become customers. Does anybody use HubSpot or another CRM? Yes, Sabrina?
The chamber does, yeah.
Oh, you use HubSpot? Yeah, and do you have a sales funnel of some kind?
So I track all of my leads under the deals tab, and I keep track of that, and then you can use it as tasks, and you can, and we're using the free version.
Yeah.
It's limited on the users, which they just recently changed, but it does do well to track your correspondence with those leads. It does update on where you're at, and you can have other people check in and see how things are going there.
Yeah. And HubSpot does have an annual conference in Boston, I believe, called Inbound, where if you really want to get into it, you can go to this conference, and they have a lot of workshops and trainings. So you can organize your whole business around HubSpot. Does anybody use a different CRM platform at Thomas?
Yes, we do. We have a couple different versions based on the department. Thomas is pretty all-encompassing of different departments, but we use something called Razor's Edge, which is development-oriented and does all the fun things with outreach, keeping track of
gifts and events and the people.
Right, yeah. And so Razor's Edge is really good for nonprofit organizations looking for donations, from what I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, the more you can keep track of with regard to people as individuals, the better you're going to do. Because again, people want to be honored as individuals. That's like when I receive a fundraising letter from a nonprofit, if nobody has taken any time to write even the smallest little note to acknowledge that I'm an individual, I hate to say it, but I throw it right away. But if that organization has said, even if somebody says, "Hi, Nancy, we miss you," or "How are you doing?" and then they sign it with their name, I'm much more likely to set it aside and give a donation. So, yeah, to all of you nonprofits, just saying. Anybody else have a CRM, or does anybody just use a spreadsheet or a database? Yes, Cindy.
I have Cindy's spreadsheet.
I'm sure it's very detailed.
Well,
Is that Excel?
I use Excel. I also have so many contacts from when I was at the paper that I built my own at home, and I just keep everybody. So if Kim says, who ran such and such a company, I'm like, oh, I sold them ads in 1976, and it just works for me.
I get it. And how many of you had a Rolodex at one point? Yeah. I should have brought mine today because I save my Rolodex just as like a museum piece. But for those young people, do you have any idea what a Rolodex is? It was a little thing that had cards, and you would write down names and addresses. And actually, Charlene Williams, who's actually the president of my agency today, she has worked for me now for 25 years. Her first job when I hired her, she was a contracted employee in the late 90s, and I handed her my Rolodex and I said, I want you to put all of this into a database. And I think at the time we were using something called DBase 3+. Does anybody know or remember? That was like coding. You had to L name equals Smith, F name. It was very complex, but it was pretty powerful as a database. So Charlene created a database, and she actually called all the people in my Rolodex to ask them what their email was when email became a thing. And it was a really good exercise in helping me grow my business, because then I had a really good database and I could contact people either by mail or email, and then eventually, phone calls and faxes. Back then we were also using faxes. So again, the more information you can retain about your current customers and your prospects so that you can individualize your outreach. One of the reasons that I was successful with public relations in the early days was that I could reach out to media people. I knew exactly who all the golf writers were from Boston, or people that wrote about cross-country skiing from New Hampshire. This was journalists. So when I sent press releases or media pitches, they could be very targeted. And so if you have that information or intelligence about people, try to use it and customize as much as possible, because it isn't one size fits all. Like, some people like to get mail in the postal mail, and some people prefer to get a text. And in my database back in the day, I had an X in the column of who liked to receive communications in a specific way. I knew if people preferred a phone call or a text or an email or a regular mail. Does anybody, oh yeah, Kim.
This is slightly off. It's on topic, but it's slightly off what you were just discussing. So one of the challenges we've had since we started the trade show is the person who comes with the bag for the tchotchke, for the swag.
Yeah.
And they want 3 coffee mugs because they have 3 grandchildren, and they want 3 of everything. So it's been a perennial problem because that's not generating leads, right? Which is why it's intentionally called the business-to-business trade show. It's not called the home show. It's not called the,
Meme show.
family grandchildren show. Do you think it's easier to control the output of swag by doing something like a cornhole or a putting contest, and if they get it in the hole, they get the coffee mug? Or
Yes.
Or do you say, suck it up, buttercup, give them 3 of everything?
No, I'd have the inexpensive swag, whether it's pens or, you know, something low cost on the booth table or whatever. And then I'd have the special things underneath. And that's what you would use for a prize for the cornhole. Or if you have a meaningful conversation and somebody is a real lead, that's when you give them the Yeti mug or, you know, the thing that costs $30 or $50.
Yeah.
But you don't want to put those things out for everybody because, yeah, people will take advantage of it.
I'm always impressed, Joy, of all people. Every time they do a booth someplace, they do like a game, like with a little wheel or something.
Oh, yeah.
And we stole that idea at the Sentinel when I went there, because it was a way to control your costs, and people got something fun, and sometimes the wheel just landed on, you know, a piece of, you know, a candy bar. But another time it might be one of our more expensive mugs and stuff. And Maine General does that really well, and others too, but.
And actually, the way we take it a step further with a wheel, we make someone answer a question that has to do with health. So we try to, if they can walk away with a health tip, or know that we do something that's even better, and then they walk away with a prize. So that's why the wheel works really well for us, because we customize it to color, and it doesn't really mean, it doesn't matter what it lands on. We're gonna ask them something, they answer, and they get their prize.
Yeah.
And they look for the wheel now.
Where would you get a wheel like that, Joy?
So you can buy them really cheaply on Amazon, but the first one we had someone who just was a handyman at one of our facilities who made one. It was just so big and it had nails in it. I mean, it was awful. Now I think about it, but you can buy them very cheaply. And the little slats on the wheel, you can customize and put, change up what goes in there. So now other places around the hospital will use it for other kinds of events. And they can do whatever they want with it as far as how they engage people. So
That's
the wheel
awesome.
is really good. People love hearing the click, click, click.
Yeah, yeah. I did that at the Merida conference I went to recently. And the other idea would be to have a selfie station at your booth that would be all branded with your organization's name. But then, you know, you could have the mustaches and the boas and the funny hats, and you as, or the trade show representative could take people's phones and take a photo for them, and you get people to go in your booth, but then they're getting photos and taking home all of your branding and the URL for your website. So that's another idea. Yep, Caitlin, right?
Yes, yes. I have a question, actually. It's kind of a two-parter. Regarding like working the room. So we're gonna be at the B2B with a booth that's pretty low-key. And so it's gonna be mainly like working the room, working the people. So what is your best advice for working the room and engaging people that may not seem engaged, I always have a hard time, you know, you do the initial, hey, I'm whatever, but then it kind of, sometimes it hits that block. How do you overcome, you know what, I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. How do you overcome that block?
I'm going to go back to advice from Oma, my mother, and she said people love to talk about themselves. And the introverts might be a little hesitant at first, but if you can say, you know, where are you from? Or where did you go to school? And get, you know, did you do sports? Or what was your favorite subject? Just get people to start talking about themselves. And if you listen and really pay attention and respond accordingly, people will remember you. It's really interesting. You're learning about them, but they're going to remember you because you were the one that took the time to ask them questions about themselves. And believe me, I do this in airports, I do this on airplanes, I do this at the grocery store. It's a little crazy, but I'm really curious about people. I have a problem, like when I'm in a restaurant, I would like to go around to all the tables. I just want to know where are people from and like, what did they do growing up? I'm really curious. Of course, I have two sons, one's 29 and one's 32, and they're like, Ma, please just stop. And I'm like, do you see a connection? You know, my son Craig, who's 32, he went to Colby. And do you see a connection between what your mother does for business and the fact that you went to this nice college? You know, he has to be kind of reminded that there was sort of a connection. But Caitlin, getting back to your point, asking people to talk about themselves and then paying attention to their response.
The second part of my question is, let's say somebody may not have had a good experience with either what you're selling or what your service or whatnot. How do you kind of overcome that conversation as well?
Again, I would thank them for bringing it up and tell them that you really appreciate this feedback because you want to get better. And this is how you should respond on social media too. You know, somebody might make a really negative comment, and sometimes that person is just like a little child who wants to be recognized. So if you actually care, you could turn that relationship around and create a really valuable long-term relationship, again, by listening and thanking them and responding accordingly. And maybe taking down their name and saying, I'm going to have our CEO or our whoever, marketing person, reach out to you and follow up. Have any of you had experience with like negative online comments on social media? Constant, yeah. And you know, sometimes you need to take it offline because you don't want it to be public. But sometimes these are people who just are screaming for attention. And they're kind of testing you. They just want to see if you're paying attention. That's why you need to monitor your social. So,
Any more questions for?
well, this is, yes.
I just got a quick comment. You were talking about swag and stuff. Funny thing just happened at a trade show in Rockland. We were standing at the entrance before we went down where everybody was. And people were coming out and they had this nice plant, you know. It was a very beautiful plant. They were getting ready to plant it and all that stuff. And everybody, just a number of people with them. When I was going around, I met a guy that manages hotels. And he had like 6 of those plants on his table. Come to find out, he had a lot more than 6 before. And he bought them for the hotel and put them there. They delivered them at the show, so they were on his table. And somebody was, he was in a very heavy conversation with somebody. Everybody was going by, said, hey, I have to take home and put it in the yard. And they took all of his plants.
Well, yeah, I think anything you put on your table is fair game sometimes. Well, for me, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you have found it helpful. And feel free to email me. I am truly curious. The next time you go to a trade show, if you implement something, I would like to hear about it. Really, I'm being serious. So you have my contact information, and I have about 1 million business cards here, too. So thank you for coming today. Thank you.